Every year, October comes bowling around and everybody dives into autumn mode. We crack out the chunky knits, the seasonal jacket collection, the scarves, and of course, the spooky garb. Some people love it, some are less enthused, but the one consistent element for us tabletop nerds is that orcs in all their forms get a huge amount of attention. I am of course referring to ORCtober, which as a concept isn't necessarily the easiest to explain if you don't know what it's all about, but ultimately it's not really official and it's not like one thing that everybody sort of agrees on. It's just that throughout October, people, hobbyists, companies do things to do with orcs. And it's great. This ORCtober I am delighted to be part of a great little initiative by one of the best hobby stores in the UK, Cryptic Cabin, and one of the best tabletop gaming, miniature gaming companies in the UK, Steamforged Games. I'm no stranger to either of these companies, so when that sweet, sweet package landed at my door, I was like a dog with a bone. An orc with a, I don't know, what are orcs like besides war? Axes? An orc with an axe, maybe. Well, in this case, maybe an orc with a mace is a better shout. The miniature that came in the box is this hilariously pea-headed chap with lots of horns and a sizable mace. So the goal with the challenge, as Cryptic Cabin has done in the past, is to paint this model using just the 3 colours randomly assigned, as well as a black and white of your choice. I'm going to assume I'm also safe to use primer, despite that not really counting as my black of choice. So that's the first step. I was a little bit cheeky and I went with Zenithal priming, and I used Mr. Hobby Surface Primer 1500 for both black and grey sprays. So hopefully that's not a disqualification right off the bat. I'm going to show you my palette so that you can watch me wade my way through mixing these to see what comes out. And while I paint this, I'm going to muse on the subject of challenges. I should say up front this was done over more than one session, despite my concern over needing to remix the right ratios of paint if I needed to match colours, but I've had that discussion with the Get Good server, and the reality is apparently it's not all that big of a deal to find the same tones again roughly with those limited paints, and I should worry less about that stuff and more about the overall vibe. We're vibe painting here, people. Let's normalise that. Anyway, since I'm doing one right here, let's discuss challenges. Challenges are a curious thing in our world of hobbying. For some people, the hobby shouldn't present a challenge. A hobby should be something you enjoy in your downtime, a relaxing way to disconnect and just do your own thing with no pressure. I have a friend who despises pressure when he does his hobbying. He likes to run at his own pace, to paint stuff in his own time, and for him, deadlines, challenges and restrictions can take the enjoyment out of painting. For me, and I think for many, restrictions can be useful if you're willing to introduce them. For example, a restriction on paints, time, palette or model pushes you gently in a direction, and I feel like in order to improve as a painter, you should be encouraged to visit that seemingly unsafe space just beyond your comfort zone. It's said that that's where the wild and exciting things happen, out there in the vasts of discomfort, and actually anybody who's travelled there and made it back safely will be able to regale you with tales of woe, descriptions of things they didn't expect to have to do, and frustrations beyond imagination. That said, the challenge these people will have encountered, much like a plucky hero in a somewhat one-dimensional story arc, will have strengthened them and made them more resilient. Maybe they're more likely to venture out there into discomfort again, and maybe they've even managed to extend the range of their comfort zone, giving them new skills, abilities, or new limits to what they can achieve. In short, restrictions can breed creativity and improve problem-solving skills. Whether or not you want that in your hobby is entirely up to you, although it's rare to find a hobbyist who isn't interested in getting better, and the issue might just be that they're not ready or willing to take steps to improve in a way that is deemed uncomfortable. Absolutely fair enough. Challenges, of course, can take many forms. It might be something like this, where I'm given a model, 3 paints and a task to complete, No prize, no reward beyond the enjoyment of the challenge, the excitement of seeing other people's results, and the community you get through being part of something bigger than yourself. But maybe the challenge is a new painting commission you've just landed, and you have a time and a budget restriction. Maybe the challenge is an upcoming competition you're painting for. Maybe the challenge is just finishing a piece to take to a show where you can meet your hobby pals and show them what you've been working on. Maybe the challenge is a timed speed paint at one of these shows, or a building and converting challenge with random bits. Ultimately, it can come in all forms, and I think all of them have merit in helping you improve as a painter or hobbyist. Now, the Alex Paints Discord isn't quite ready to host any sort of challenge yet, and I don't know if that's the sort of thing that would necessarily work there, but another Discord I'm part of and have mentioned in the past is the Get Good community. Run via a Patreon subscription, it's easily one of the most active hobby communities I've been a part of, and they run monthly challenges. Now, these challenges, much like other Discord challenges you may have come across, are often themed. It might be a bust or a basing challenge, a small scale or black and white challenge, an 8-hour challenge, or a particular faction, race, or material challenge. It may even be a specific model challenge like Richard Gray's Bone Zone or Rot Spot challenge. When I can enter them, these challenges give me a really useful thing. They give me the opportunity to work on something regularly that takes me in a direction I might not have typically gone in my own safe, never straying from the path hobby journey. They give me what I see as a pressure-free chance to go a bit out of the box. The pressure of a monthly finish date is there, of course, but there's no pressure to enter or complete something, or even submit it for the gallery and subsequent rewards. It can be just a way to try something new. We had a basing challenge recently, and it was a good opportunity for me to try something I've been thinking about, with a suspended island held up by a waterfall which fell into a whiskey glass to break that scale barrier. Now, that piece wasn't going to win me awards or travel to shows with me. It might end up at the Fen Model Show basing raffle next year, but beyond that, it was just a proof of concept for me, a step towards doing that again in the future. I learned a few things while doing it. I have a stack of things that I'd change, and I don't feel the need to do anything more with it because it's fulfilled its purpose of being my challenge piece. Now, that's not to say that any of these challenge pieces you do are not worthy of displaying or entering into competitions, nor am I saying that you can't just set yourself a challenge on your own and follow it, but the nature of doing that as a community helps you complete it. You get the support of a group of people eager to see your take on the theme or the rules and restrictions, and you also get ideas and inspiration from what others might be doing in the same conceptual space. The motivation is higher with that inclusion than it would be if you just decided to set yourself the same challenges, although listen, that works for many people who are probably stronger willed than I am. If you're one of those people, then good on you. If you're familiar with ambient music, you'll have heard of Brian Eno. Well, some time ago now he came up with a set of cards called Oblique Strategies. They're a set of over 100 prompts which he describes as dilemmas that are aimed at creatives, whether that's musicians, mini painters or otherwise. Each card contains a concise statement, ranging from direct suggestions like use an old idea to more abstract provocations such as consider different fading systems. This set is now into its 5th edition, and this isn't necessarily an ad for them, but if you're looking for a really nice artifact, something to buy or something to help you with some potential creative restrictions or ways of thinking, then you can definitely do a lot worse. Side note, I had an idea to do something similar called Bleak Strategies, as opposed to Oblique Strategies, and I was going to enlist a pal to help me write 100 super depressing statements like, now do it like you're not awful, and bin it, don't ever try again. But honestly, the state of the world today is bleak enough, and it was one of those ideas where the name came first, and despite being an amusing idea, it was in reality pretty fucking niche for a long-winded cheap gag. Let's get back to challenges. I could give you stacks of quotes that back up my challenges are food for your growth implication, but the reality is you can Google it and find all manner of super pithy life coach blogs and fitness gurus dishing out the same stuff. I'm not here to tell you how to do your hobby. I do, however, think that you can really explore some new grounds and ultimately, through accepting potential failure, grow as a painter and a hobbyist if you consider challenges and their ability to push you out of your comfort zone as a healthy thing to try now and again. That's about all I have to say on the matter for now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's continue the discussion in the comments, or feel free to join my Discord and we can chat even further. If enough people sign up, maybe we can start our own little challenges and help each other grow. So, as you've been watching me paint here, I hope that you've maybe learned something. I've tried to keep things visible on screen. I've obviously had to speed things up pretty considerably, but hopefully the mixing, the rough sketch to more refined detail has come through, and that you can relate to my struggle to eke out a reasonable green to use from that super light minty colour. That was a real challenge actually. I found that because the super light green was already a bit desaturated and so light that any time I added it to any other colour, it did just much the same as a white would. And this tells you two things, I guess. One, you need a more saturated green if you want to use it in mixes like this. And two, that you don't necessarily need white for mixing. A very light colour will do the same more or less, and actually using an off-white tone for your highlights can help bring things together quite pleasingly on a particular paint job. I did get there in the end by darkening the green down with the black, which seems to contain a bit of blue, and then using the yellow tan colour to mix with blue to bring out the green tone. It is muted as hell, but it was as good as I was able to get for those skin tones. Often the challenge when mixing is that adding black or white will always desaturate a colour as well as lighten or darken it, so you start to lose the punchiness of any colour you have when you add either of these two. As a result, unless I'm using the pure colour from the pot, any mixed colour is going to lose that punch a bit, so that's going to be a tough one for anybody doing this challenge regardless of which paints they get. My approach in general with this was quick and dirty so that I could get stuff down and then start to refine that over time, so I started with bigger brushes just to force me to work on larger areas, almost like I was limiting myself time-wise too. You'll also maybe notice I tried to create my own washes with just lots of dilution. That had reasonable results. It worked on the foot wraps part, but of course mixing the right consistency is always going to be a challenge. The browner tones were of course easier to make with mixing, since everything kind of ends up brown in the end if you just keep mixing things together. And that meant a good bit of variation for things like the wooden handle on the mace. Anyway, ultimately, actually before I say that, I will also say that without a metallic paint, really we're forced into kind of doing non-metallic metals for any parts that would be metal. So black and white, it's possible to do an NMM with black and white. It's maybe not going to be the greatest NMM and it lacks some of the environmental reflections, but some of the other colours were able to be brought in for that. Ultimately, I'm pretty happy with the results. This was 2 main sittings and in total about 2.5 hours work. Since beyond that we get into the endless refinement, and I'm struggling for time this month with SMC and Golden Demon basically upon us, so ultimately this is my final result. I hope that you like how it turned out. I hope you also enjoyed my waffling about challenges and at the same time seeing how the mini all came together. I don't think there are any prizes for this challenge, and really the best thing to come out of this has been more confidence in working with mixed colours and the experience that comes with that. If you would like more from me, please click subscribe. It's free, or you can find me on Instagram, Discord and various other places linked in the description below. Until next time, goodbye.